It was a hot summer afternoon in the quiet suburban town of Brookhaven. The air was thick with humidity and tension, the kind of tension people pretend not to feel but is always lurking beneath the surface. In this small town, most people knew each other, and if they didn't, they certainly knew of each other. Yet, secrets sometimes went unnoticed. Like the one Officer Logan Taylor was about to uncover. Officer Taylor had been with the local police force for nearly a decade. He wasn't a bad man, at least not in his own eyes. Logan believed in law and order, in keeping the peace, but he also harbored biases he didn't fully recognize. Deep down, he distrusted people who didn't look or live like him, though he'd never admit it out loud. That afternoon, Logan received a call about a disturbance at the downtown park. The dispatcher had been vague, mentioning a group of teens being rowdy near the swings. As Logan pulled up, he spotted a group of black teenagers huddled around a girl sitting on the grass. They were laughing and talking, but to him, it looked suspicious. Without a second thought, he stepped out of his patrol car, hand resting on the holster of his gun, and approached them. "All right, what's going on here?" Logan demanded, his voice sharp. The teenagers looked up, surprised but not alarmed. A tall boy wearing a worn-out basketball jersey spoke first. "We're just hanging out, officer. Nothing's going on." Logan's eyes darted to the girl sitting on the ground. She was petite, with long braids and sitting in a wheelchair. Her smile faltered when she noticed the officer's tense expression. "Is she okay?" Logan asked, pointing toward the girl, his tone accusatory. "Yeah, she's fine," the boy replied quickly, stepping in front of the officer. "That's my sister, Elise. We're just chilling." "Man." Logan wasn't convinced. His eyes narrowed as he looked at Elise. Something about her wheelchair, the way she sat there, made him uneasy. He was trained to look for signs of trouble, and in that moment, he decided these kids were it. "Step aside," Logan barked, moving toward Elise. The boy hesitated, glancing nervously at his friends. "We didn't do anything wrong, officer." "I said step aside," Logan repeated, his hand now gripping the butt of his gun. Before anyone could react, he grabbed the handles of Elise's wheelchair, pulling her forward roughly to check if she was hurt or if something more sinister was happening. In the process, Elise's foot slipped off the footrest, and she let out a yelp of pain. "Hey!" Elise's brother shouted, lunging toward Logan. "What the hell are you doing?" Logan shoved him back hard. "Back off." Elise's brother stumbled but didn't fall. His friends froze in shock, watching in disbelief as Elise winced, trying to adjust herself in the chair. The situation had escalated too quickly. Now Logan stood between them, one hand on his gun, the other on Elise's wheelchair. In that tense moment, Elise's phone, resting in her lap, buzzed. She glanced down at the screen, and her heart skipped a beat. It was her father, Special Agent Samuel Harper of the FBI, texting to check on her as he always did. Without saying a word, Elise hit the call button and placed it on speaker. "Hey, Dad," she said, her voice shaking slightly. "I'm at the park, and there's a problem." The kids around her could hear the worry in her voice, and so could Logan, but he didn't step back. On the other end of the line, Samuel Harper's voice was calm but alert. "What's going on, sweetheart?" Logan felt a chill run down his spine. The name sounded familiar. "Who are you calling?" he asked Elise, his voice less confident now. She didn't answer him directly. "Dad, a police officer is here, and he's not letting us go." There was a pause on the other end before Samuel Harper's voice returned, firm and authoritative. "Put the officer on the phone, Elise." Logan's face turned pale as he realized what was happening. He reached for the phone himself, trying to maintain control. Elise held it out, her hand trembling slightly. "This is Officer Logan Taylor," he said, his voice not nearly as confident as before. The voice on the other end was icy cold. "Officer Taylor, this is Special Agent Samuel Harper of the FBI. You are currently manhandling my daughter, and I strongly suggest you remove your hands from her chair immediately." Logan's grip on the wheelchair loosened, and he stepped back, his mind racing. FBI? How could this girl, this black girl, be connected to someone that high up in law enforcement? It didn't make sense to him. His heart pounded as he tried to come up with an explanation for his actions. Agent Harper, I didn't realize. Logan stammered. You didn't realize what? Samuel interrupted, his voice sharp. That she's disabled? That she's a human being? Or that she's my daughter? Logan's mouth went dry. He looked around at the group of teenagers, all of whom were now glaring at him with a mixture of fear and anger. He suddenly understood how it must have looked. A white police officer roughing up a disabled black girl in front of her friends. The implications were obvious, and the weight of it hit him like a ton of bricks. I didn't mean to hurt her, Logan said, his voice barely above a whisper. I thought something was wrong. You thought wrong. Samuel shot back. I'm on my way there now. You stay right where you are. Logan stood frozen, the weight of his actions sinking in. He had acted out of suspicion, out of bias, and now it had blown up in his face. But as the minutes ticked by, he also felt something else, regret.